What is up, everybody? It is me, Real American Politics, back again with a new video. And welcome to a look at the future of the Republican Party video thing. So people are wondering, what can the Republicans do in the future to expand the Republican base and win elections in the future? Now again, I'm not conceding this election, alright? I am making that clear. I'm conceding after January 6th, no matter what happens. So now, this is a very interesting time to look at what the Republicans can do in 2024 and beyond, to see where Republicans can gain extra states to try to outbalance the Democrats' gains in places like Georgia, Arizona, a lesser extent North Carolina, and Texas. So this video is looking at the possible targets for the Republicans in the future, because some of these states I just mentioned, they may become one of the more hard-nosed Republican states in the future. But for now, we need to discuss this. And the first thing we need to discuss is the shift from 2016. By the way, before I mention, this map is disgusting, to say the least. This is the most convincing argument to me that election manipulation happened. This is not how a swing map is supposed to look like. Just go look at the swing map from 2012, 2016, 2008. Looks nowhere near how ugly this is. So that's why I'm saying voter manipulation, voter fraud, etc. happened. I'll be making a video on that in a day or two, but you get the point. And you notice how Republicans actually made the biggest gains in Latino-heavy areas of the nation. Southern Texas, Southern Florida, Southern Arizona, and even places like Los Angeles. They made huge improvements. And even made improvements in the Bronx, which is key to know, because there's something interesting happening in New York City itself. Upstate New York kind of just, well, did upstate New York things. But you get the point, the Republicans are, in fact, expanding the base to an extent. Trump did expand the base big time in Texas with Latino voters. Like, some of these counties haven't voted Republican over 120 years, like Zapata County. This is the first time in like 120 years, I believe, that voted Republican. And again, these swings are just ridiculous. 55-point swing, 38-point swing, 46-point swing. And the election mafia would say, oh, well, why is this not suspicious? Because nationwide, except the state of New Mexico, we saw a consistent trend with Latinos. They swung the heaviest in Latino-heavy areas. Like Zapata County, I believe, is 100% Latino and Hispanic. And you get the point why I'm not suspicious of Southern Texas, because it's a consistent shift, while the rest of the nation just makes no sense. That's enough of that. So, Southern Texas is becoming more and more red, and that is important for the future of the Republican Party. Because while, yes, Donald Trump did worse in the Dallas area, did a little bit worse in the Houston area, but even a bit better in some of those more exurban counties, and did significantly worse in the Austin area. He pretty much canceled out a lot of those losses with these ridiculous swings in southern or western Texas. And what does that mean for Republicans? One thing: run a good candidate that can actually do halfway decent in the suburbs, and you're going to make Texas a 10-point safe state. The reason I say this is simple. The only reason these counties up here in the Dallas area, the Houston area, vote against Trump is because a lot of them vote based on, do they like the guy or not? A lot of them personally do not like Trump. And that's the biggest reason why many of them did not vote for Donald Trump. That's a key thing to note. So if Republicans run someone like Ron DeSantis, who could do just as good, if not a little bit better with Latinos, and do significantly better with more of those establishment Republicans who really just vote based on, do you like the guy or not? Republicans can do significantly better in these Sunbelt states. Same thing in Arizona. Maricopa County only swinging 5 points Democrat. That's a good sign of Republicans. And the fact of the matter is that Santa Cruz swung 12 points Republican, Graham 6, Greenlee 10. And the fact that Republicans did not do terrible in Arizona at all. So there is, I would say, a little bit of hope in Arizona in the future. But for now, you get the point that across the board with Latinos, Republicans made massive gains, not just up ballot, but down ballot. And that is very, very important for the Republicans. So what do the Republicans do in the future? Well, it's very simple. Run a good candidate in the future who can appeal to Hispanics or Latinos and appeal somewhat to that traditional Republican voter. And significantly, this will impact the Sun Belt. States like Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Georgia, Florida, and even the state of New Mexico. And I'm going to be doing a deep dive in New Mexico because that Senate race there should indicate to people that something is happening in New Mexico. And again, there's a lot of those voters in New Mexico who, again, voted against Blumph because Orange Man bad. And I'll be doing a full video on New Mexico. The Republicans may have a gold mine of Latino voters in the Sun Belt. And if Ron DeSantis would be the nominee, he could possibly combine Latino voters with Trump's white working class base and do a little bit better with those traditional suburban voters that are trending away from the Republicans slowly but surely. If DeSantis is the nominee, a lot could happen. So let us just say Republicans actually get their act together and decide, you know what, we're going to run someone like DeSantis, all right? I know this is not my prediction. This is not a prediction whatsoever. And put a lot of effort into continually making these Latino-heavy areas more and more Republican. And again, work with the Rust Belt states. Continue doing better with those white working-class voters. Who, again, Ron DeSantis may be the only candidate that can do way better with suburban voters and do about the same, if not a little bit better with Latinos, and maybe a little bit worse with working-class voters. So you get the point. So if you run something like DeSantis, you could see Nevada, Arizona, Texas, Florida, even Georgia go Republican, and that alone would put Republicans at 270. That's not even talking about states like Wisconsin, which is trending heavily Republican. Like, you look at what happened in Wisconsin, and the only reason that Trump quote-unquote lost Wisconsin was the swings in Ozaukee and Waukesha County. If it was DeSantis would get Mitt Romney levels in Waukesha, which is around 68%. That alone wins the state. So really, you keep adding up the numbers, and hey, if someone like Ron DeSantis was a nominee and Republicans actually got a brain and focused heavily on Latino and working class voters, they could make significant gains. And even if they somehow do lose Georgia and Arizona, they can make that up with Michigan and a very interesting state route, which I will be making a video on, New Mexico. Again, this is a very, very interesting and quite possibly not possible scenario. But you get the point that if Republicans do actually work at these Latino voters and white working class voters and run someone that doesn't completely suck in the suburbs, they could just pile on and reverse a lot of these trends in the Sun Belt, in particular the Georgia suburbs. Because the Arizona suburbs looked actually halfway decent for the Republicans, even though they lost it. Still looks not terrible. But Georgia suburbs, Republicans better do something with that. And that doesn't include places like Pennsylvania, Nebraska's second. Even eventually try to get Minnesota, New Hampshire to the coalition. This could possibly be the Republicans' future. And if the Republicans don't go this route and decide we need a Jeb Bush type to run again, we need George Bush 3.0, well, you lose your voters in the Rust Belt. You will not win New Hampshire. You could possibly lose New Mexico, Nevada, and no matter what you do at this scenario, sure, you may win Texas by 15, 20 points, Arizona by 5 to 10 points. If you can't do anything with Cubans either, you lose Florida, North Carolina, Ohio. Like, you get the point that Republicans cannot go back down the path of Jeb Bush or George Bush, because this is the future of Republicans. It just keeps getting worse and worse. And sure, Republicans will do better in the Sun Belt, right? Significantly better. Texas and Arizona will be safe to borderline safe. But states like Florida, North Carolina, Ohio, Indiana, Missouri, it would just get ugly. And this is why I'm telling the Republican Party, do not go down the route of neoconservatism again, or George Bushism, or anything like that, because this will be your future. This is not me lying. This is straight up what your future would look like if you go down the route of neoconservatism And it could just get worse and worse that Republicans don't do anything about it. So that is why Republicans need to focus heavily on Latino and white working class voters. Because in the future, all right, they could possibly, not saying they will, could possibly get a map similar to this. You could possibly make New Mexico, a state like that, red. If Republicans actually were smart. But that's important. Republicans need to be smart down ballot, and it starts down ballot. Republicans need to run good candidates in states like New Mexico, Florida, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, that are America first, that are pro-American worker. That alone could shift the Republican Party in a lot of these states to more favorable territory. And I'll be making a video on that too. There's going to be 2 to 3 videos I'm working on that's going to explain that process. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, hit the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, and yes, you guys should also hit that join button. Anything helps the channel. And yes, thank you guys for watching this video, and thank you to Seahawks Brennan Nelson, Top Dog Obedience, and Memeologist for joining the channel. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see you guys in the next video. And also Spiffy Diameter, thank you so much. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.